By 1970, the town of Santa Rita no longer existed. The mine had eaten it up. Initially Apache land, the area around Santa Rita had been claimed by the Spanish and later the Mexicans in the early 1800s, with the town being officially established in 1804. By the late 1800s, the town had experienced lawlessness, typical of Western mining camps around that time, with multiple corporate investors trying to make legitimate claims to the mines. In 1910, the Chino Copper Company had initiated open-pit mining and was later acquired by the Kennecott Copper Company in 1933, who introduced innovative mining techniques, including massive drills, which ate at the landscape at quantities never witnessed before. It was then clear the town would succumb to the endless expansion of the mining pit. By 1970, the mine had completely consumed the town, leaving nothing but empty space behind. The total land moved by that point in time was around 500 million tons, suspending the ghost of the town mid-air above the bottom of the pit. While many residents of Santa Rita protested the demise of their community, others passively accepted it. The town was built to support the mine after all, and copper is a precious resource. In 1971, the Smiley Company obtained the full rights to reproduce Harvey Ball's design of an abstracted smiling face against a yellow background. It has since become popular worldwide, and the company denies any claims of the unrightful exploitation of Ball's design, given there were no legal frameworks at the time to prevent them from using it. They argue that drawings of an abstracted face have existed for at least 3,000 years, examples of which can be found in petroglyphs in the Frijoles Canyon in the Bandelier National Monument of New Mexico. In 1963, Ball was commissioned to design the smiley as merch for the insurance company State Mutual, with the aim to lift their employees' spirits and encourage them to smile more. The design quickly became appropriated and reproduced in the form of pins, posters, and other novelty items. In 1971, the company Synergisms produced copies of the smiley face as posters, with the slogan, "Have a nice day." One of these posters found itself in the Operations and Checkout Building in NASA's Kennedy Space Center, when in July of 1971, astronauts David Scott, James Irwin, and John Young were being suited up for the launch of the Apollo 15 mission. In March of the same year, on the rocky, rugged, and dusty landscape of the Rio Grande Canyon near Taos, New Mexico, the crew of Apollo 15 and their backups, Richard F. Gordon and Harrison Jack Schmitt, were running a simulation of the lunar roving vehicle to be used for the first time on Apollo 15. This landscape was specifically chosen as it was said to most closely resemble the Hadley Apennine Valley, a rougher lunar terrain which had been elected as a landing site as it offered the potential for the discovery of older geologic material. In December of 1972, Apollo 17 touched down on the Taurus Littrow Valley on the Moon, on board with Schmitt, the first ever scientist astronaut present in a lunar mission. Opposite the landing site, he named the peak Bear Mountain, after a mountain visible in the skyline of Silver City in New Mexico, where he grew up. 15 miles east of Silver City is Santa Rita, where Schmitt was born in the Kennecott Copper Company Hospital. In 2025, the copper mine reaches a depth of approximately half a kilometer. I wonder what Schmitt would think if he was on a rocket on his way to the moon now, looking back at the Earth getting smaller and smaller, and seeing the scar being carved into the Earth by the mine. After the town's demise and his own journey to the moon and back, he founded a society for people born in space to memorialize Santa Rita and preserve its legacy. With Santa Ritans taking pride in their newfound identity, one can be sure Schmitt's association of the town with space was not a coincidence. In 2003, in a dimly lit lecture theater at MIT, Schmidt gave an interview on the legacy of the Apollo missions. He expressed the importance of the discovery of lunar helium-3 and highlighted the potential for it to be harvested with a goal of energy production here on Earth. In October of 2025, in a room with grey laminate floors and acoustic ceiling panels, Helsinki-based company Blueforce signed a deal with Interlune, a space commercialization startup, on the purchasing of up to 10,000 liters of lunar harvested helium-3. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin also recently signed a deal with Luxembourg-based companies GOM Space and the European Space Resources Innovation Centre to map the Moon's terrain and identify exact locations and quantities of available resources for future utilization. This has been made possible after Luxembourg's launching of the Space Resources Initiative, which provides the legal framework to secure property rights for resources harvested in space, passed in 2017. Luxembourg is the second country in the world to make that possible after the United States. The contemporary field of outer space mining has become the closest thing to the Wild West, with private companies racing to stake claims on the land. But while these major decisions happen over a cup of coffee and a Zoom presentation, will the world also go about its business?